It's Mando time again, so I'm going to talk about Mandalorian, obviously. In the last video, I kind of did a recap of the episode, and I'm not really going to do that this time. If you're watching this video, then chances are you've probably seen The Mandalorian, and you want to know kind of my 2 cents on it. So there's not really much point in telling you what happened when you already know what happened. So instead, I'm just going to kind of go through the episode and talk about my thoughts on it, essentially. So the first kind of part of the episode was seeing the Tatooine like mechanic woman. I get why Mandalorian went there. Like, from a narrative reason, absolutely fine. Obviously, he needed the part for IG-11. But I am getting a little bit not sick of the woman. I think she's still a good character, but it seems a little bit like it's a bit lazy from the writer's perspective. It's kind of like whenever he needs a part, or whenever he needs a chip or a droid, or you know what I mean, you just go straight to this woman. The galaxy's so huge, and obviously he's going to go to the people he trusts, but like the end of last episode he was with Bo-Katan, which is in the Mandalore system. So would it not have been a little bit more interesting if he went to try and see if there's anybody in the Mandalorian system that he could get the part of? From being the audience member, you know, I'm watching this episode. To me, it was a little bit dull, and it's like, obviously it happened, it'd been done before. But then from a narrative perspective, as much as I think it would have been interesting to go see someone else, then obviously, if this was you, like, say your car broke down, you're going to want to go to a mechanic that you trust to get it fixed. So I kind of get why they wrote it, that he went and saw her. Anyways, it's not that big of a deal. I think it could have just been a little bit more interesting. But then again, you don't really want to take away from the rest of the episode, so it's a bit safe. Anyway, that introduces obviously R5, which I had a massive smile on my face for that entire bit. Obviously, R5 was the reason that Luke met R2. Yeah, if you didn't know, he was a rebellion like spy. Seeing R5 and getting him as a main character was sick. I thought it was amazing how they give him his own kind of personality, fleshing out the droids in live action a little bit more. Obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know the lore, you know that they all have really kind of individual personalities, but it was something that we hadn't seen before. We're not really seeing a warrior droid, so yeah, so I quite like that. I thought it was awesome seeing R5 and getting him straight into the limelight. Moving on from there, we go straight into being at Mandalore, which was awesome. Obviously, we've never seen Mandalore in live action. The first thing that frustrates me here was when the Mandalorian is taking on all the big kind of, they look like giant orc kind of Ugnaughty things. When he's fighting them, I was really frustrated because this is the Mandalorian. Like, he is part of an expert warrior creed. And you're telling me that he can't take down these guys with ease? These kind of what looks like brainless monsters? I mean, he does take them down eventually, but he gets the snot kicked out of him, basically. And also, how does he still not know how to use the Darksaber? From what was revealed not long ago, Grogu spent 2 years with Luke. Didn't have the Darksaber that entire time. Surely he would have taught himself to use it a bit. Now, I know that it's not in his kind of fighting style, I guess, so he doesn't really think to incorporate it when he's fighting, which is fine, but you'd think that he would try and learn it, maybe? I don't know. So Grogu and Mando explore the Mandalorian kind of caverns and go deep within Mandalore, which is amazing. Like I said, we've never seen this in live action, we've never seen Mandalore in live action, so this is great, and I loved it. And then he gets attacked by the giant crab-like droid, which was awesome. I don't think we've ever seen that before in Star Wars. Really cool idea and really fresh, and obviously this world is barren and forgotten. There's going to be some creatures or things that are inhabiting the planet in some way or another. So I really like that. I love that it kind of took him by surprise and it got him captured. Now, what I don't like is the really poor way that they brought Bo-Katan into this. Essentially, they're on Mandalore. Bo-Katan is going to have to turn up at some point, right? Now, what happens in the scene is Mandalorian gets captured. He tells Grogu to go get Bo-Katan, which, I don't know. I think it would have been a lot cooler if he'd obviously got out of the situation himself, or Grogu maybe had helped. I just think it was a slightly lazy way of them bringing Bo-Katan in. I think what would have been a cooler way of bringing Bo-Katan in is if she'd followed him, is if she had tried to stalk him to see what he found in Mandalore, because obviously she's to rule there, so she wants to see if she can still go there. So I think that would have been actually a better narrative, is if she was essentially chasing him and stalking him. However, the episode goes on. Grogu goes and gets Bo-Katan. We get some awesome scenes of him taking out one of the big Yeti things and goes get Bo-Katan. Great scene, absolutely loved it. What we are starting to see is that Grogu is becoming more of a fleshed out character. When Grogu kind of joined back up with Mando at the end of Book of Boba Fett, I thought it was just a bit cheap, and I was like, oh, it was such a good narrative having them split apart. Bring them straight back again, it seems like it defeats the object of them splitting them apart in the first place. Grogu is actually what seems like he's starting to speak. and he's doing his flips and he's using the Force quite well. So this is awesome, and I'm absolutely loving this. I think it kind of makes up for the fact that now they're back together and we kind of skipped out that narrative. We're actually seeing him become his own character and seeing him a bit more fleshed out, which I'm loving. Anyway, Bo-Katan comes to help Grogu. Now, a great part that I absolutely loved here is how she comes looking for a fight when she sees this Naboo starfighter. And this solidified in my mind she is definitely the villain of this series. I know at the moment she may seem friendly, but she's definitely going to turn on Din the first chance she gets. Absolutely. She goes and goes with Grogu. We get to see a Mandalorian starfighter in live action, which was awesome, straight from the Clone Wars. She comes to Mandalore, they explore a little bit to go and help Din. She fights this creature using the Darksaber, which was awesome, and definitely more foreshadowing as well. I think they're really setting a lot of kind of a rivalry between these two. It's definitely getting set up. She saves Din. They do a bit more exploring, and then he finds the waters. She agrees to take him to the waters that he's searching for to cleanse himself, so he can join the Creed again. And the episode ends on a cliffhanger just after he enters. He's sucked under the water, and Bo-Katan, after she gets him out, she's seen this giant creature, and the episode ends there. I think overall, this episode was definitely a lot better than the first. Not that the first was bad, but this is definitely starting to get somewhere. The narrative is already kicking in. It was great to see them exploring Mandalore. I loved R5, and I hope he sticks around. Grogu was by far the MVP of this episode, both from a narrative and an actual just, enjoyment standpoint. Definitely improved him. He's a lot more exciting to see. I never was a massive fan of Grogu, once he got over how cute he was. It was essentially like, oh, he's the baby. It's definitely great seeing him as kind of his own character now, which I'm loving. The episode kind of seemed a little bit, and it is quite ironic really, Star Wars The Last of Us, them exploring this post-apocalyptic civilization. It gave me vibes of that, which is great, and I think that's a great idea actually, to be honest. If they're looking for more narratives to release in the Star Wars universe, something like that would be awesome. Yeah, I think that it was both an amazing episode in terms of kind of action and pacing, and it was really starting to get somewhere. However, certain narrative aspects seemed just a little bit cheap, and they kind of skimped out on some cool moments of storytelling just to get the right characters in the right place at the right time. For Bo-Katan being on Mandalore in the first place, in my opinion, they could have done it a bit better, actually. And I think at the moment, I don't think I'll be the only one who's suspecting she's the villain. So they could have done some things there, maybe to foreshadow that a little bit more. Nonetheless, it was a decent episode. I'm not disappointed in the slightest. As an episode 2 goes, I thought it was actually really brilliant. I just think that going forward, they do maybe start to address aspects like Din and the Darksaber. I think that's something that they really need to address, of why he hasn't learned it yet. And if they do address that, he needs to learn it. I did get hints throughout this episode that either Bo-Katan is going to try and get it off him, or she might end up actually training him to use it. Because obviously we get the scene where he watches her defeat this droid with pure ease, she just chops it down. Either one of the two. I'm looking forward to episode 3. Obviously, I think this episode was still great, absolutely brilliant. I don't think The Mandalorian has ever missed with an episode yet. I just can't wait for episode 3, and I really hope they start to build on things a little bit more, as everybody else is saying as well. So anyway, that was The Mandalorian episode 3. Those are just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. If you haven't already, go watch the review for the first episode of season 3, which was a little bit more of a recap. So if you like this one, you want to see what I thought about the first episode, definitely go watch that. And also, I released a video about Battlefront 2, kind of on the Star Wars theme, I'm tying them together. Battlefront 2 is an amazing game, and I was quite proud of the video that I made, so go check that one out as well. Make sure you do all the YouTubey stuff, subscribe to some more videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much, guys.